The clarinet owes a great deal to the virtuosi who championed it. Anton Stadler helped the clarinet to get its start as a respected instrument with his human-like tone and friendship with Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Heinrich Behrmann toured Europe and, with the help of Karl Maria von Weber and his son Karl Behrmann, inspired the second generation of composers and performers to use and respect the clarinet with his beautiful interpretations and technical prowess. In the same way, Richard Muhlfeld's artistic mastery inspired Brahms to pick up his pen again and write for the clarinet exactly 100 years after Mozart wrote his clarinet concerto. This gave the clarinet momentum into the 20th century, where many of its best works lie. The story of the Brahms clarinet works is perhaps the most important story in the history of the clarinet, and one of the most touching in music. Born in 1856, Muhlfeld was self-taught as a musician. He first played violin under his father's tutelage before turning to the clarinet as early as age 10. Richard Wagner himself complimented the clarinetist when he played Beethoven's Egmont in Beirut for Christmas 1878, saying, "Young friend, continue in this way, and the whole world is open to you." The citizens and musicians around Muhlfeld quickly took note of the artistic mastery he possessed. Muhlfeld would become first clarinetist at the Orchestra of Meiningen, a town in what is now central Germany, under the service of Duke George in 1881, and would remain there until his death. By the time of their meeting, Brahms had put away his pen and retired from composing. When he visited Meiningen in March 1891, the orchestra's conductor drew Brahms's attention to the clarinetist. Muhlfeld played his entire repertoire for Brahms, including the Mozart Quintet and Weber concertos. Brahms became enamored with Muhlfeld's artistry and told everyone he knew about the clarinetist. The two became very close friends, and Brahms set about writing clarinet chamber works immediately. By the end of the summer of 1891, the trio and quintet were completed and were performed by the end of the year. Two sonatas for clarinet came in 1894. Brahms wrote the sonatas for his own enjoyment, and in a letter to Clara Schumann, called the sonatas the, quote, "first clever thing I'm publishing," and then in parentheses, "a little late, you are thinking." The two also toured and performed the new clarinet works often until the death of Brahms, and Muhlfeld continued to perform the works frequently until his own death in 1907, over 645 times in 138 cities. Muhlfeld was known less as a clarinetist and more as a master artist who happened to play the clarinet. To quote Clara Schumann, his playing is at once delicate, warm, and unaffected, and at the same time it shows the most perfect technique and command of the instrument. Franz Liszt compared his sound to biting into a ripe peach. Muhlfeld aimed for a dark tone. His sound was so dark and rich that some English listeners disliked it. One of the ways that he kept his tone dark was by refusing to raise his pitch. As the pitch standard continued to rise around the world, Muhlfeld did not adjust accordingly. Even the great Clara Schumann acquiesced to his demands. While Brahms wrote substantial orchestral music involving the clarinet, he never assigned the instrument anything virtuosic or purposefully idiomatic. Instead, the clarinet writing is practical and serves the orchestral sound rather than feature the instrument. Brahms preferred dark, rich sounds and typically wrote his clarinet parts in the clarion or chalumeau registers, the medium and low registers of the clarinet respectively. While the Clarinet Quintet in B minor, Opus 115, is the result of Brahms learning how to write idiomatically for the clarinet and letting the instrument sing as the leading voice throughout the piece, in the trio, the three voices move as equals. Moments of virtuosity are rare in this piece. Instead, Brahms writes beautiful melodies that fit the clarinet perfectly. The performer, like Muhlfeld, must focus instead on the artistry of performing such a monumental piece. The tone colors, emotions, and shapes take precedence. The grand journey of the trio takes careful planning and coordination between all three members, and, when performed correctly, can leave the audience at once captivated and exhausted. I hope you enjoy it when we play it for you next week.